Salutation and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kidology and I make videos about everything and anything to do with modern society. And today we have another series of kids clips. It's fascinating and I love doing this sort of short form content, so please give this video a like, please subscribe, and let's just get into it.
I'm done. I broke up with you. I'm done.
What?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No, are you serious?
Yes.
Say it again.
I broke up with you.
Okay, so, right, let me play devil's advocate and pretend that this is probably a build-up of pent-up frustration, that this is probably the final straw, okay? Let's just assume that this is the reason why he's breaking up with her, not just because of this, but because this is ultimately, like, she's been doing this a lot. Right. This is a perfect example of two people who should not be in a relationship, and two people who decide to be in a relationship because they want somebody, they want a partner, they want that affirmation, they want, you know, the image that they see on social media or in films. They then decide to get together, not realizing that the reason why their relationship is not going to work is because they as individuals are just not at the level that they need to be at to be in a relationship. Right. If this is real, we're going to take this at face value. If this is real and not staged. If you are a man who is building towers out of paper cups and it means so much to you that when your partner comes in and destroys it, that you decide to break up with them, I'm so sorry. You should not be in a relationship. I'm really sorry. If you're playing with paper cups, clearly being in a serious relationship with somebody, with the ups and the downs, the hardship of it, the difficulties of really having to put another person before yourself a lot of the time, it's just not going to work out for you. So it's probably best that you two do break up. This is clearly not working, fam. Oh my goodness. Also, if you get pleasure in destroying something that your partner has made, I mean, this is just paper cups, so it's not really that deep in my opinion, but if you're going to go and destroy somebody's hard work like that, that's not cool. You shouldn't be in a relationship with somebody if you look at their successes, if you look at their triumphs, and your first thought is to just destroy it just because you can, just because, you know, why not, like, you know, it's fun to destroy things, it's fun to do that. No, maybe do it once and see how they respond. Like, you know, some people don't care. Personally, if I was building like a tower of cards or whatever and somebody destroyed it, I wouldn't really care too much. It wouldn't be that deep. Sure, if I'd spent hours on it and, you know, I was really focused in the zone, I might get annoyed for like a day and just show them that I'm annoyed by not speaking to them, by being quite, you know, dry and just offish until they apologize. This seems like an overreaction of two people who are just not ready to be in a relationship on both sides. I wish them well on their individual journeys of self-growth. I hope you can build another tower. Next clip.
If you are not black, if your skin is not brown, if you are not melanated, then you do not have the right to come under my videos talking back to my people. Your opinions are not wanted, nor are they relevant. So why do you feel like you need to come and keep saying something to my people? You need to ask me my permission before you speak or comment on my videos. You come under my video and say, Lord, may I please have your permission to say something. Then you wait for me to give you my permission before you start tapping, moving your little pasty fingers around on my page. You people have been talking way too much for way too long, and your time is officially up. It is Black Power forever.
Okay, Black Messiah. I just want to say to anybody who has ever been spoken to like this, or whoever this video was directed at, I am so sorry. I shouldn't be apologizing. I'm not apologizing on behalf of this person, but I'm apologizing that you had to face this, because this is absolute brain worms, brain rot delusion. This individual is the example of somebody who is trying to present their obvious bigotry and hate as being political, as being justified. I am one of those people who does not believe that any form of racism or hatred, based on bigotry, based on prejudice, based on nothing founded in any kind of reality. I do not believe that that kind of hate, that kind of racism, there is no justification for racism at all. None. Not even when it comes to your experience of a few people of a particular racial group doing something to you, causing you harm. There's absolutely no justification to condemn an entire race of millions upon billions of people for the actions of a handful in your life and experiences. And it is the exact same for the Black Messiah. I think that this is deplorable. I am so glad that this video, I can't actually find it on TikTok anymore. I'm so glad that it's been terminated, destroyed, gone, because this is the epitome of profiting from racial and racialized hatred. There is so much money in hatred at the moment. There is so much attention to be garnered from hate, from this kind of race baiting politics.
If your skin is not brown,
If your skin isn't brown, you need my permission to speak. Well, what happens when somebody like me, who is brown, says things that you don't agree with? Because this is ultimately what it's about. This is about you hating people who don't agree with your kind of supremacist mindset of your significance, of your importance. This clearly comes from a place of a lot of hurt, a sense of injustice. And I think that this is a really good example of sort of Nietzsche's ressentiment, this idea of dealing with your own inferiority complex, your own sense of inferiority and being lesser than, by projecting it onto a scapegoat, by projecting it onto that which you either wish you were or you wish to destroy in order to up yourself, in order to improve your self-image and your self-worth. This is not politics. This is not justified. This is pure and utter racism. Why are you on TikTok? Of all places, why are you on TikTok, right? A public social media platform, saying that people need your permission to speak, that they need your... How are they going to get your permission to write in your comment section? Because surely even if they ask for permission to write in your comment section, that's them speaking without your permission. No. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The hurdles in which some white people are expected to jump through in order to cater toward these individuals who are getting so much money from being racist is amazing. It reminds me of this picture that I saw. This picture of this woman, this black woman conducting this anti-racism course for all these white people at some business. And on the whiteboard, it says that white people are racist or something like that. And then underneath it says PayPal, and you can PayPal her. I mean, it's that same kind of mentality. It's just making money from this idea of being a perpetual victim. There is so much money in the victimhood mindset. There is so much money in racial hatred. There's so much money in hatred in general. From the manosphere to this kind of thing, to some segments of BreadTube or cornbread tube. Honestly, they are paying their mortgages, making bank from this idea that white people are conspiring to rule the world. And white people, like all people, are just literally trying their best. Just trying to pay their bills, their rent. They do not have the time, they do not have the money to care about all the nuances of racialized politics every second of every goddamn day. And that's fine. Live your life. Just try to just be the best human being you can, which clearly the Black Messiah is not at all trying to be the best person that she can be. I wish you a speedy recovery, my friend.
your opinions are not wanted.
Although I'm sure we're not ever going to be friends. Yeah. Okie dokie. Next video.
Because it's easier. And I am done. I'm done. What kind of world do we live in where a normal, regular girl cannot find just a regular guy out here to date? Because these guys don't want a real woman. They want a fantasy. They want to live in this fake fantasy world. They would rather jack off to some screen, to some robot, rather than actually deal with a real human being and what comes with that. You know why? Because it's easier. And I am done. I'm done.
Oof, this is hard. Okay, firstly, I'm going to say I have quite a few thoughts on this. I think that like in a few years' time, this young woman is probably going to look back on this video and is going to see how far she's come from this. She's probably going to be in a relationship with a great guy because, you know, I think that regrettably on the internet especially, and that includes on dating apps, you see the absolute worst of human beings. You see human beings who are too lazy or too insecure about themselves to actually go out into the real world and to deal with real people and real issues, and projecting all their insecurities, all their issues onto other people. And I think that even though I can see that this young woman is in a really bad place, that I feel that she is projecting her own insecurities and her own issues with regards to probably one guy or a few guys that she's dated onto sort of all men. And I can see the appeal in doing that. I think that men do this with women as well. They get rejected by a few women, and then lo and behold, all women are just the bane of Satan himself. So I get it in a sense. But also I think that she is going to look back on this, I hope, and is going to see where she has come. With regards to what she's saying, I mean, there is nothing more heartbreaking and there is nothing more horrifying, I think, for a lot of women when you discover that your partner would rather just watch porn all day, would rather just obsess over OnlyFans girls or whatever, than spend time with you and actually be in a real relationship and deal with you. Been there. And it's not a nice feeling. It's not a pretty feeling at all. And in this day and age, when from a very young age, young boys and men are sold a fantasy of what women are, a fantasy that is not in any way what real modern women are. This idea that women are just objects, that women are just bodies, that women just want to have pornographic intercourse with them and call them king and orgasm like screaming into the wilderness, essentially. I think when men realize that and realize that real life is not like a pornographic story, that is a hard realization. It's a hard realization, especially because there isn't any sort of messaging, there isn't any information, there isn't any sort of culture and social, I guess, safety net that offers an alternative. Instead, men are essentially just ignored and are just treated like consumers. Easiest way to turn a man into a consumer is to feed into his sexual drive. And so that's just what happens. And I think in the modern context that we live in today, there really isn't a conversation, or there isn't room for a conversation about masculinity, about men, and especially about men finding themselves, finding meaning and purpose beyond their sex and beyond this idea that to be a real man is to essentially conquer, and particularly to conquer a woman and to dominate over a woman, or insofar as having a woman. And I think that some men definitely think that that's all they have to do. They just have to get a woman and that's fine. You know, a relationship is, there's nothing else that really has to be done. As long as you've got a woman, all your problems are solved. And what increasingly we are realizing is that that is not actually how the real world works. That is not how modern society works. That is not how modern relationships work. Not only women, but men happy. That masculinity needs to be found within you, that you need to do the work, and that it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of trial and error, a lot of rejection, a lot of failure, and a lot of very difficult and painful conversations, reckonings, and actions to actually discover throughout your life who you are as a man. I think what is sad is that women aren't really, not that it's women's responsibility to help men, but women aren't terribly empathetic to men, and I think a real plight that men are going through. And I think we need to try to be open to understanding where men are coming from. It's hard. It is definitely hard for me to speak to some of my male friends, or to speak to men who watch pornography, who follow girls on OnlyFans, or who I can see sort of just see me as an object and don't value me as much because I'm not interested in sleeping with them. It's hard. It's difficult, but I need to understand where they're coming from. I need to understand why they're coming from that perspective. And I think everything is so important when it's put into context, when we try to get where people are coming from, because men don't understand where women are coming from. We have all of our issues as well. You know, we have our flaws galore, obviously. And I think the way that we move forward together is by understanding where each is coming from and respecting that, not condemning, not projecting our insecurities onto the other, not trying desperately to make the the other see that they are entitled, that they are too picky, that they are wrong, but trying to actually understand where they're coming from, hear them. And I think the most important thing for human beings, for any relationship, private or political and public, is that we learn how to say, I'm sorry. We learn how to apologize. We learn how to forgive. We learn how to move forward together. We learn how to compromise. And that has just been lost in our postmodern consumerist age, where all of us are postmodern consumers who believe that somehow buying and consuming things is going to solve everything, which it just is not going to. We have self-sabotaged our relationships and the potential for the relationships that we want. We yearn for men or for women. We yearn for sex. We yearn for lovemaking and intimacy, but we absolutely despise where we are going to get that from. And that's obviously not going to work for any relationship. Obviously. I mean, the comments speak for themselves in how this is just a perpetual cycle of a gender war that is just going to end in femininity and masculinity being pariahs to each other and in no way being willing to extend the olive branch to the other. I want every girl that complains that they can't find men to screenshot their DMs without deleting anything. I dare you. As long as she's 6 foot tall, makes 330k a year, and is good at womanly tasks, takes care of my needs but allows me independence, accepts my 2 children and my fur babies as her own, stops acting so vulnerable, what a turn off, and allows me to move in and redecorate, I'll give her a chance. They want a fantasy, like 6 foot, 400k salary a year, etc. Women have done this to themselves over the last 50 years. They have made themselves so problematic that it makes no sense for any young men to deal with them. It is sad. This is what feminism has wrought: total confusion and misery for both sexes. Women are more than happy to bring misery and destruction. They have an innate hatred of men. And this is the problem. Relationships don't work when people don't hear each other, when you don't listen to your partner. Relationships publicly don't work when you don't listen to the other side, when you don't hear them, when you don't recognize where they're coming from, which may be a completely different and antithetical experience to yours, but is nonetheless their reality, and is nonetheless a reality that meets and speaks to their needs and how they see the world. And with us being unable to understand where the other side is coming from, we're just going to be stuck in this. And this is honestly so exhausting, so not just boring, but so hurtful for so many people, clearly, that we're not getting anywhere. Somebody needs to do something. We need to honestly change how we speak to each other, how we try to understand each other, how we try to empathize with each other, because as I said, this just is not working. But anyway, what do I know as, a femcel? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed these kids clips. Please leave me a like and a subscribe, and leave comments down below as well what you think about these clips, what you think about the weird and wonderful and of course not so wonderful things that modern society gets up to. And I'll see all of you very soon in the next one.